What's up, scrubs? It is time for Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon Ironman-Based Tierlist. By Ironman-Based, here's what I'm putting down here, right? I'm assuming you're playing an Iron Man. It's kind of self-evident, I suppose. But I'm specifically assuming, like, if you are not a bulky unit, you will get docked points because it's easier for you to die. You know, not a whole lot, but yeah. Basically, it's just cover for me being very subjective with this. It is my first year. This is the anniversary of when I joined YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. And thus, I am doing this. I'm doing a tier list on the game that I started YouTube with, and it's my favorite game. And I want my subjectivity to flow through, because let's be honest, I would be doing that anyway, because I rate units very subjectively. That's just kind of what I do. I'm not a very objective person, and furthermore, if you like the music, check into the description, so you can get the credits for the music, please, because I did not make this music, and it's good. Fuck, let's kind of go into it. Marth. So, that's not where I'm putting him, but he is interesting. He is, so in an Iron Man, he is your game over condition. You have to use him. Yeah. It's recommended, I'd say, that he gets some level ups. I'd recommend you using him. This is also basically an excuse for me to rant about units. Marth is interesting. Marth is, I'm actually going to add a row below, and I'm going to stylize this as I don't fucking know. Because I don't. Some of these characters I've never used at all. And I'd rather, leave that up to other people who are better at the game to interpret. Then again, if you're looking for actual, plausible meta-analysis, do not come to this channel. I will not be giving you that. Go to, Mecha or anyone else, really. But Marth, he gets the rapier. The rapier is really good. It's so good. The wing spear is obviously super, super crazy. But the rapier is almost the same thing. It's a lot worse than the wing spear, but it's still really good. And that alone gives him incredible combat. But he also has decent combat stats on my own. Another thing is I do not have their stats up right now. I could say something and it could just be wrong. By the way, I will probably say things like, "Oh, in my experience, he's performed well." That might not be true. I might be lying. I might literally just be misremembering. It's shit like that. Like, oh, I used Gordon and he didn't kill stuff. Maybe that's a lie. Maybe Gordon actually kills everything and I'm just feeding into the government lie, trying to keep Gordon down. However, I'm doing my best and it's my bias. It's my biases. I have these. Whatever. I've always had good experiences with Marth's combat. And other than that, he's good supports for just walking around and getting treasure with the Fire Emblem. And you give him the boots and he does that better. And that's pretty nice, It's not FE1 where he does all of that and is also, ridiculously good at combat. And he has the provoke effect in FE1, not in this game, which is crazy, especially for an Iron Man, but I'd still think he's good. I've seen a lot of people recently rate him lower down, something like C, D, E. I'd honestly say he's a B. He can, I know he can solo the game, but you're not doing that in an Iron Man. He's good. He's genuinely good, and he's also one of my favorite balanced lords. I think being about in the B tier is about where you want a lord to be. ideally. That's my favorite. My favorite lords to use I would classify as B tier, even though I'm biased with lords like Ike. You know, Ike really isn't that good, but I like to put him there anyway, because fuck that. Whatever. I think Marth truly belongs in the B tier, and I think he's one of the best balanced lords, and I think he's just good like that. Plus, he actually just has good stats compared to a lot of starting units, which is kind of whack. Sucks that he's foot locked though, but Boots normally fixes that. Frey. Okay, Frey is a weird case. I've used Frey as a paladin and as a Draco Knight, which I assume are his best classes, just because they're best classes overall. Maybe there's some jankier builds that work better in the long run, but I've never heard of them. Frey is weird. To my knowledge, and this is just me going off memory, so I might be wrong about this, all the Cavaliers have something they kind of specialize in. Specifically the early game ones. Jagan is promoted and therefore has slightly better... He has better bases overall, but considerably worse growths. Kane struggles with lance rank and speed, but has great strength and alright defense from what I remember. Abel has decent defense and speed, and lance rank struggles with strength and sword rank. Frey, from my memory, is just in the middle. He really has like coin flip growths everywhere, and because of that, you can get some crazy Freys. I've gotten a pretty crazy Frey before. My Draco Knight Frey leveled up really well, and he was really good, and he did really well. But when I trained him as a paladin, he just didn't level up well. He got stat screwed in like strength and a little bit in like what was it? I think it was HP. He got like a little bit stat screwed in HP, which is really weird. Really rare to see a unit get stat screwed in HP. But he was for some reason like 3 points below average, and that means that specifically against bows he was just fucking dying. Not against bows, against mages, because he didn't have the best res stat, despite being a paladin having great res. It's really weird, and because he's so coin flippy, that lack of consistency, I guess, would hurt the Iron Man stuff. But at the same time, it's like, if he doesn't level up the first times immediately, you bench him immediately. You can bench him for these other times. If you get a crazy Frey, keep going. But then again, he might just... If you're benching Abel for Frey, which I'm only comparing Abel to the other Cavaliers, because I feel like they are the best Cavaliers, even in the starting squad. And in the future, like, potential Cavaliers, the only, like, one that I know people like to do is Navarre. I don't think there's very much viability to anything else except for Tomas. I think Tomas is sleeper good Cavalier, but that's for another time. Honestly, Frey is kind of weird. He's kind of weird. But the thing is, I think Frey is a solid C unit. He usually kind of sucks, but he's also pretty good. He's got the bonus lance rank, which is very nice, and he's actually got... so I'm also assuming you're playing full content patch. This is because this is how I like to play it, and it's how I like to recommend, especially an Iron Man playthrough, of this going, just because I really like it that way. And if you are doing that, you get Frey no matter what. And if you do that, Frey gets the whole prologue to farm some EXP. Granted, a lot of this EXP you'd also want going to Marth, Cain Abel, that's kind of it, Gordon, maybe. But in general, if you do that, without that full content patch, he's like D, at best. With it, I'm going to say C. I feel like he hits a solid, and again, this is probably biases, pro-Cav biases showing through, but this is Cav propaganda, by the way. This whole video is Cav propaganda. In my opinion, at he's pretty good at being like a middle ground, right? If you are better than Frey, you are a good unit. If you can consistently get good enough combat, specifically for like these early game combat units, if you can consistently be better than Frey, you are an above average unit by far. If you are below Frey, you are spotty. Like, or you're bad. That depends on how much worse you are in Frey. And because of that, I think Frey is a great middle ground. With the context that you are doing full context patch. Because without full content patch. Because without it, he does drop down to C pretty quickly, if not E. But I think I might keep him C for now. I might drop him to D later on. Abel. This one is going to be very controversial. Again, this is a ProCav. You are listening to ProCav propaganda right now. I fucking love Abel. He's the first unit that I just fell in love with using. My first playthrough of this game, I didn't use Roche at all. I used Abel. I love Abel to this day. He's one of my favorite units. To anyone who says training the Christmas calves gives bad unit feel, I don't know what you're talking about. These Christmas calves almost always are some of my favorite units to use. And Abel is examples of that. And in reality, he'd probably be somewhere like B. Another thing with my propensities with rating units is I usually am pretty positive about a lot of them. A lot of my tier list might be pretty top heavy. I don't fucking care. Anyway, Abel. He has lance rank at base. The lance rank to use a javelin, crazy good. The lance rank to use a horse slayer, obviously don't get a horse slayer until a lot later, but he doesn't have to work for that like people like Kane do. And even I think Frey has to work a bit for that. He has to get 1 rank, I believe. Don't quote me on that though. It's actually no, he joins with D, doesn't he? He also has to get a rank. Never mind. Oopsie. Still, it's a lot easier for him to hit that benchmark than Kane, about equal with Frey. He gets a lot more chapters if you're doing the full content patch, because of the prologue, and he is there for almost the whole prologue, and he can get plenty of experience there. Probably get up to like from level 1 to like, he starts at level 1, right? I don't know. I really don't know. But he usually gains like 4 or 5 levels if you're like funneling EXP into him. And if you're hard training him, like this is the only unit from the prologue I am using, besides like Jagan and Mark probably, you can get him easily like up to like level 8. It's pretty crazy. Or those levels are not wasted on Abel. He has great growths. And he's also a member of the best class set, the male one anyway, of the two, the better one, I guess I should say. It is so wild that he can, it's like, he can be a cavalier, and he's fantastic. He can be a paladin, he gets that res, he's great. He's got so much lance rank, he'll hit Gradavis completely naturally. You don't even have to work for that. He'll hit all of the relevant benchmarks. He'll hit C really quickly because he starts with D anyway, and he has the whole prologue to get up to C if you're doing full content patch. And while he's a cavalier, great speed growth, great defense growth, great HP. Strength, he can get strength screwed, but if that happens to you, skill issue, you should have just not done that. Kind of cringe, to be honest. But in general, I really like him. Then also, he can be a Draco Knight. And as a Draco Knight, he has all these characteristics. Usually fixes his strength as well. But he then has to reset on axes, which doesn't matter too much because you can survive completely off of lances in this game, especially. It is great. He can use the Rider's Bane. He can use... The main thing he is missing out on if he goes Wyvern is he probably... I imagine you'll have given him some amount of sword rank, hopefully to get an Armor Slayer. But if you go Wyvern, you have to train up axe from scratch, which kind of sucks, and you want to be able to use a hammer or something. But it's okay. You can just have someone else do that. There are plenty of other units in this game that are capable of dealing with armored units, and he can most likely deal with them even without effective weaponry if you just give him a strong lance, and you're not on, like, hard 5. That's another thing with Abel, is on hard 5 he falls off hard. Same with a lot of the units I will talk about. Like Frey is not really that usable in hard 5. It's like, in hard 5, without hard 5, he hits, there's some hard level that I haven't played probably that where he hits the benchmarks up to that level, and then at that point, he stops doubling things. And he stops dealing damage because of his low base strength. And at that point, it's so hard to get the ball rolling on him that he doesn't grow like he used to. I'm kind of assuming you're not playing on that difficulty. If not, he'd be B, maybe even C. Where that threshold hits where he doesn't do it. But honestly, there are a few ways to Iron Man Shadow Dragon. You can either go hard 5 and go full. Either I'm gonna bullshit the game or the game's gonna bullshit me. Or you can go a normal route and do something like whatever thing you think is slightly above or below your comfort level, you know, to give you that perfect Iron Man feel, because there are so many difficulties to Fire Shadow Dragon, and that is one of the things I really love about it. But if you're doing this on harder difficulties, a lot of what I say is not true. A lot of these people's combat don't hold up when I talk about it holding up. Because if you do it on hard 5, there are very few people whose combat holds up. Yeah. In general, Abel is one of the best units to train. There's also some fun, gimmicky options you can do. As a archer, Abel is blazingly fast, which is very funny. He's not great, but it's very funny. And as a mage, he's blazingly fast and hits on res, which kind of negates his potential damage issues without the speed. So that's really funny. Having a fast mage is very cool. Both of these are unequivocally worse than Wyvern / Draco Knight or Paladin Abel. But they're really fun, and you should try them out. I recommend them. Anyway, that was one of the units I know a lot more about. Same with Kain. Now, I'm putting these together, but it's also pretty personal bias. In reality, I'd say Abel generally has a pretty handy hold over Kain. Maybe I would in fact do this. Just by having that early lance rank, it's so important. It is so important to have the lance rank. You want to have javelins. You want to have horse slayer soons. What Kain does get is really early armor slayers and really early killing edges, which you won't have with Abel at all for a very long time. Probably anyway, or Frey. But the thing is, there are other people who can replicate that. Marth, Navarre, Ogma, but unless you reclass Navarre to a horse, they're not going to be on a horse, and Kain's really good at that. To that end, Swordmaster Kain, please try it out sometime. It is so fun. It's like a GBA Swordmaster, but in a game where swords are actually, like, okay, just because there's effective weaponry and the killing edges are alright in that game. Highly recommend that. But as a Cav or a Wyvern, he kind of falls behind just because of the Lance rank. But his stats are great too. Honestly, I would say on lower difficulties, better than Abel. Strength, crazy. In lower difficulties, he has frequent speed issues, but in lower difficulties, they're fixed pretty quickly if you can just feed him a few kills and you get the lucky level ups onto speed. Very nice. But he also has pretty good defense, at least to my knowledge. From my memory, he takes more hits to kill than Frey and Abel. I might be fucking with that, you know? I might just be messed up with that logic. I don't care. Basically, Kain is pretty good. I'm really close on this, just because I really like Kane, and this is cat propaganda reminder. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do that. That's cool. I like that. Highly recommend Kane as a sword master if you have not before. Makes him fast and strong in exchange for taking him off a horse and stripping him of any lance prospects, which he would have had trouble with anyway. Even though once you get him off the ground with that, he is crazy. Jagan, okay. In any sort of efficient play with this, Jagan is the best unit. Not the best unit. I'd say the Warpers are generally better. And Sheeta is generally better. Jagan is crazy, just by being a pre-promote with good bases for the most part. How do I say this? In every efficient play you watch of this, everyone uses Jagan so well. And it's because every time they play these chapters, they've reset a lot to get every single placement, every single action with Jagan down. In an Iron Man context, I think Jagan is the unit most hampered by this Iron Man context idea, because he is very unreliable. In efficient play, you can just reset if Jagan misses, if Jagan gets crit. That just kind of happens a lot with Jagan. He has low luck. He faces low percent crits from all sorts of enemies. He is pretty much mandatory to use for the higher difficulties, but he's not really for lower difficulties. You can get by. Simply do not be bad. It's what I'm always saying. Basically, in an Iron Man, obviously, with tier lists, you mostly have to assume that the player is playing very well. And you have to assume that a unit isn't dying, but that's where the Iron Man context thing comes in, so I can be subjective. Jagan is very mortal. Very mortal. He gets crit all the time. If you make a single misplay with him, his bulk is not enough to where if you take, like, one or two more enemies than you expect, he will just die. And it happened to me on my Iron Man. You can watch that. Jagan missed, and because of that, he didn't kill the Hunter, and because of that, the Hunter hit him, and then he died. Like, he just died because he missed. Obviously, I should have put him in a situation where he wouldn't have died if he missed, but I simply had a skill issue. I'd argue Jagan kinda mid. He gets you through the early game, and by then you just coast off units that you've already trained in an Iron Man until he gets like crit or something. However, if he does survive, that's an ad. If he does survive, oh, oopsie, ba-bum. If he does survive, he can reclass into a bishop, and then he's very close to warp rank. If not there, actually, he might. No, he gets. I think he gets D rank stabs on reclass to bishop. It might be C rank though. In any case, no, it's definitely D rank, right? I think it is. In any case, he can become a staff bot, and staff bots are very good. Yeah, he's crazy. But for the sake of overhating Jagan in favor of my more beloved Cavaliers, I'm doing this because Abel is A tier always. Never forget that. AAA. Abel A tier always. Jagan, very good. Whatever. Gordon. Okay. Let's talk about Gordon. There was a run where I arena trained Gordon to 2020. He, as an archer, he still would not one-round things. I arena trained him on the map where Caesar and Rad join, right? He still didn't one-round stuff. He just doesn't have the strength for that. Maybe he got really screwed. But he just doesn't one-round shit. He's bad. However, he's pretty good at chipping, even without, grinding him. And you can grind him to level 20. No, it was not level 20. It was just level 20, unpromoted. That also might influence my perception of him, that I didn't promote him. Simply because I did not finish that run, I'm gonna be honest with you. However, my experience with Gordon has been pretty bad. However, his chip in the early game, especially if you grind him on like a broken hand axe, is good. It's pretty good. He doesn't kill things, but he sets up kills. And that's kind of nice. And also, I've heard tell of a... Okay, I've always thought about this, right? Drog, the unit we'll be discussing next, he's well known for transferring to Hunter and shedding his defense stat and growing a monstrous speed stat. Gordon, by virtue of being an archer, can kind of do the reverse, where he sheds some speed and gains some defense. And in that way, Gordon kind of gets usable, I've heard. I have not tried this build, Armor Knight Gordon. I've heard that it's actually okay. But until... Will you survive? Until that is, I'm just going to put him in E. I think there are people who are just worse than Gordon, at least for now. Yeah. I also very frequently choose Gordon as the Marth imposter. That's what I genuinely say. He's the worst unit in that starting group. So generally, if you're actually like trying to really win and not do some dumb bullshit gimmicks, kill Gordon. Make him the Marth imposter. Make him the Marth sussy Amogus imposter. He's not good. But he's pretty funny. So I'm putting him above F, because why not? Drog. I'm going to go on a big rant later about Drog when another unit comes up, but for now, I'm going to keep him right here. And I'm going to leave you with this. I am assuming you are making him a horseman, a hunter/horseman. I have done this. It's a very good build for him. He gains so much speed, and he keeps his strength stat, and he loses all defense, basically. He becomes a Omega Glass Cannon. He is well known for this. This is how he becomes any sort of relevant on like harder difficulties, because he can actually input damage, because he can actually double, which like maybe 2 or 3 units can. And most of those units are not dealing damage, and he's actually dealing some. Drog is good. However, this is Iron Man based, and Drog sheds his defense stat. That's inviting human error, baby. But I still love him, so I'm putting B tier, and I will talk about him extensively later, in just a bit. Norn. I'm going to leave Norn in the I don't fucking know. Never use Norn. I've tried before. She comes level 1 with dog shit stats. And like, that's about it. Like, dog shit stats, level 1. The main claims to fame are she has good growths, I think. I don't know, actually. I've heard she has good growths. I've never seen them myself. Maybe I'm just getting group gaslit, whatever, peer pressured into thinking she has good growths. But she also has access to a pretty good class line. Like, she can become a Pegasus Knight. And just having an extra Pegasus Knight is pretty nice. But the thing is, she doesn't do damage, like, at all. She maybe doubles for 0.2, or 0 times 2. It's like, it doesn't really work for her. But I've also never used her that much. I'm gonna be real. I've used her maybe in the very beginning of some runs, and then I just bench her. And I've never seen anyone else use her. Really. I don't know. My gut instinct is to put her on F just because that's been my experience with her. And I just find her to be worse Gordon. But with an option to be a Pegasus Knight, maybe. But I'm confident. I'm so unconfident. Inconfident. Whatever the proper root for that is. Whatever the prefix is right for that word. In my rating of Norn, I'm just going to leave her in the I don't fucking know tier. Because I really don't. I don't know if she performs. Anyway, Sheeta. Bum bum. Wing Spear is still broken. She is a lot more mortal than you might expect. Simply because before she promotes, she generally is not very bulky. However, none of this matters because you're probably killing your opponent in 1 round, if not 2, if you're using the Wing Spear, and if not, you're probably still dealing a hefty amount, if not also 1-rounding them. The problem is getting her a few levels in the maps where she struggles, which is like the first 2 or 3. Even though I was harping on Jagan for being mortal, Sheeta's also mortal, but in a way that's like helpable. Sheeta's mortality is based on her low base bulk, where Jagan's is just he misses a lot and gets crit a lot. You know? That's like RNG. Even though you can technically play around it, first of all, that's for chumps and losers and nerds. But second of all, you know, a lot of time that just happens. That just kind of happens, you know? Whereas Sheeta, you can play around it a lot easier. And Wing Spear is just really... I don't think I have to tell you how much Wing Spear is broken. It's like... This is the game with, bar none, the best... This is the game where effective weaponry is at its best, and it is a forgeable... and I highly recommend forging it. It's probably the best item to forge in the game. The only thing that comes kind of close is Rapier, and that's literally only because it's a budget Wing Spear. It's crazy. It is ridiculous. And Sheeta is the only one who can use it. And that's it. That's all I really gotta say. Next, Riss. Fuck. Riss. Every other cleric in this game is crazy. Why? Because they start with C rank staves, and that gives them warp at base, which means they're like fucking S tier, right? Riss starts with E, so he sucks. However, first of all, he's very funny. He's a very funny guy. We love Riss. He's a very silly man, old bald man, right? However, he's not like the most he's contributing, aside from you're hard training him because he's funny, and you get him to warp rank and you promote him and start trading like his tomes or something. Give him like a forged fire tome, which is very funny. He's not gonna do a whole lot except for like heal people in the prologue. But I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. It really comes in handy, especially in an Iron Man, where you're probably gonna want just heals on the fly, and you might not have time to use vulneraries. And also, he's kind of better at healing than a vulnerary in this game, which is kind of nice, honestly. He doesn't heal 10 HP anymore. He heals slightly more than that. Because of that, he has enough niche utility to put him in E. I've seen people use him as, like, Cavaliers and Myrmidons, but I don't think that's real. I don't know what the stats of that are. I'm imagining he doesn't... I don't think he has a good strength growth or base or anything. I think people are just memeing with that. I'm going to keep him E, because why not? Ogma. Pretty comparable to Kane. Ogma's just another one of those units. Already we're seeing that my tier list is very top heavy, but I'm gonna default on this again. I'm gonna do that. You know what? Yeah. Ogma is just another one of... There are some units in this game, generally the people I'd say who are better than Frey, which is why I'm using him as that anchor point, that just don't, like... Okay. Most of the characters in this game kind of blow. Like, they're kind of bad. But there are some units in this game where it's like if most of these units, if you give them experience, they just are not guaranteed to give you back on that investment, right? If you give a level to Gordon, there's absolutely no guarantee he will ever be good. He might be good, but if you're just like passively training him, he won't. Ogma is one of the characters who can do fine for himself. He just has good enough stats, bases, growths, whatever, to do that. And because of that, he's quite good. He's pretty spectacular at combat. He's a great armor slayer user. Perhaps my rates with this are a little fucked. I don't know, and I don't really care. I'll probably be shuffling them around this whole stream. This is... Ogma's like... He's like Barst. It's like, he and Barst are like, you can just passively give these people EXP, and they'll probably return some investment, and later on, they might come off the bench and like promote or something if they're at level 10, and they'll be decent filler at worst, you know? At best, you're hard training them, and they kill everything. But unfortunately, they're not mounted, so they're not on the best class, but they are great. He will probably make him like a hero, in which case he's fantastic. He has a lot of good swords to use. He will have crazy axe rank or sword rank by then, and you can start training his axes to hopefully get him to hand axes, and then hopefully get him to like hammers and pole axes. Very nice. But in general, kind of wish he was like a cav or had the ability to be a cav. The difference here, though, is that he can't. And I have, like, a whole thing about this topic, but I've been theory crafting Horseman Ogma, right? He loses a decent chunk of his strength. However, his strength will probably still be decent if you're getting him to promotion. And he has the sword rank to use stuff still, like armor slayers, probably silver swords at that point. I imagine. Definitely things like killing edges. Steel swords is probably going to be good enough for him. And he'll be on a horse. Right? That doesn't sound bad. No one's ever considered it, which makes me worry that it might not work like it does in my head, but I imagine that can't be bad. And then he also gets bows, which are conditionally useful. I gotta imagine there's something to that. And for that reason, I'm putting him above Draug. Draug is better as a horseman than Ogma is. Like, Draug is provably good as a horseman, whereas Ogma, I've never seen or used him as a horseman. I'm just thinking on paper. But also, his performance at hero is crazy. And also, honestly, I've used him as a berserker before, and he was good there. I just kind of had to, like, grind up his axe rank, which I didn't like really have to do like really early, which I didn't really have to do with like mercenary Ogma, because I could just use steel swords with him, and then once he promoted to hero, train his axes. But whatever Ogma's good. Next up, Barst. If I say anything about Barst, I'll just be repeating myself. My main thing I can say is I have used Barst as a horseman, and he gets to be about he gets to be the same level as Drog, right? But he takes a lot longer to get there because, well, when you promote Ogma to Horseman, I imagine you've been using him as a mercenary the whole time. He'll have crazy sword rank, and just bad bow rank. Barst will probably have shit for both. Drog will also, but it kind of sucks more. Well, it kind of sucks more for Drog it sucks more for Barst because he just loses the strength, which Drog also does, but he usually makes it back up because he has a pretty good strength growth, and so does Barst, but he just loses just enough that he gets screwed, possibly. At least maybe that's what mine did, because by the end they were about the same, Barst and Drog, because I trained them in the same run as Horsemen, but I had a lot harder time getting Barst there than Drog for some reason. I will talk a lot more about that in a second with the Horseman question, but he was okay as that. But generally, make him a Berserker. He's a crazy Berserker. He's very good. If not, make him a Warrior. Same thing. Actually, you know what? Make him a Warrior, and if there's a map where water walking is useful, make him a Berserker. That's pretty much the modus operandi for Barst. He's crazy. He will have great stats. Same with Ogma, etc. Right? I'm just obsessed with Horsemen recently. Don't mind me. Basically, he's crazy. He's just a good unit that you don't really have to put too much into. Generally good. You know, not crazy. If he was like a Draco Knight, he would be in A tier above Abel right now, probably. Same with Ogma, honestly. Maybe a little less, because not axes, but he can't be a Draco Knight. And because of that, he's stuck with Warrior, which is also good, but not... You really wish he could be flying around, but he can't. So because of that, here's where I'm putting him for now. Board, A tier. Board, he's a little funny. He's like Barst, but if he sucked ass. He notably has more axe rank than Cord. He can use things like hammers, I think. No, he can't. He can use things like steel axes, which get him doubled for the most part, but, you know, he inputs damage, and if he kills, then he doesn't have to deal with getting doubled. But he can do these things better than Cord does, at the expense of, you know, losing out on some growths, which, whoa, you're probably not feeding levels to these two anyway. They're more bulky than a lot of your early game people. Like, you'd much rather have Board taking a hit than Sheeta or Gordon, Riss, someone else. I don't even know. It's like, they're like okay as filler combat units in like chapter 3, 4, maybe even 5, and then you usually bench them. If you're using them long term, I have never done this, I'm just theory crafting. You can either just keep going with axes and you'll be worse Barst by a lot, or you can make him funny general. He can also do general strats. He gets very bulky as a general, loses a decent amount of speed. He's better than Gordon in that way, but it still sucks ass. I'm gonna keep him here, just because I feel like F tier is reserved for like the bottom 3 units in the game, right? And I think Board is a little bit better than that. Cord, I'm fittingly gonna put him right below Board. Misses out on axe rank, gains a funny dark mage build. That's all I'm really gonna say. Castor, are you ready for a Horseman rant? Everyone loves Drog. Everyone loves Drog. He is such a good horseman. I've talked about Ogma and Barst as horsemen. Castor was wonderful when I used him. He trained himself up super well, and he wound up being so... Well, he trained himself up better, not better, but like the same as like Barst and Drog did. I've never used Ogma as it, but I used these three together as horsemen in the same run once, right? And by the end, in the beginning, they were all just completely the same, except Castor had an edge in the bow rank, while these had an edge in some stats. He was a lot bulkier, he was a decent amount faster, and he had bow rank, basically. They both about trained up at the same time. Barst was a little bit below the curve for a while, but he caught up definitely by promotion time. By the end of the game, Castor was a decent margin ahead of the other two. It was like the general enemy, all three of them could one round. A little bit bulkier of an enemy, Drog might not be able to one round. And then the toughest enemies, Castor was one rounding. Like really tough enemies. Like endgame, like heroes and shit. These things are hard to one round. He was doubling and one rounding it. Barst wasn't even doing that. I think Castor is very slept on. I think he is comparable to Drog. The difference being, Drog is a little bit easier for efficient players, or players who are slightly better at the game, to train at the beginning because he doubles easier. Most of these time in lower difficulties, Castor also doubles. Even in, like, I think he doubles up to, like, hard 3 or 4. Don't quote me on that, but he gets... It takes a bit to where he stops doubling. While he's there, in that benchmark where he's doubling things, he is just Drog with a little bit better long-term prospects, in my opinion. I think Castor, obviously he's never going to be an optimal unit. Not even Drog is really optimal past like the first couple of chapters in like efficient play. I think Castor is a great unit. I really do. And for pure spite purposes, I'm doing this. I think all of these units are pretty comparable. But there are definitely a lot of differences that set them apart. Next we go Daros. Not Daros. But he got no speed. However, you can do a funny general build with him. That's the third time I've said that. Keep a running tally. When you do this though, I'd say he is the best, aside from like Wolf and Sedgar, at doing general builds. Maybe tied with like Caesar. Daros sheds all speed and becomes all defense. 0 speed, 0 speed growth. All defense, baby. All HP, all strength. He folds to a single magical enemy or anything that has effective weaponry. But aside from that, he's actually pretty hard to damage, which is very funny. He doesn't input a whole lot in behind, but you can definitely gimmick a lot of like rooms with him. Yep, this is actually a stream. It's not a premiere like last time. Hello, Air Tempest. I'm just talking about our boy Daros. And I'm overhyping him. I think he's better than the other two Axe Bros, Board and Cord. Why? General strats. He is the best general strat thing, and general strats aren't good unless your name is Wolf and Sedgar, but that's an outlining case. But they're very funny, and he is the best one at doing them. And honestly, they're pretty useful, actually, kinda, sorta, in lower difficulties where he can actually do them efficiently. I'm putting him in D because that's funny. Julian, A lot of people say thieves are redundant in Shadow Dragon because Marth is a thief. I disagree with this on the principle of it is just nice to have multiple thieves, and you're probably not going to need Tank Draco Knight Maria. That's obviously wonderful. But General Daros is hilarious as well. We're going to be talking about soon probably my favorite general strats. Yeah, also Marth can open doors and bridges. I think thieves aren't as redundant as people say they are. It's obviously not a great game for thieves. It's not thieves' best game. They can't like steal money like an FE4 or whatever. I think Julian is still worth fielding a lot of the time where there's chests. A lot of the time you just want to have Marth trudge to the villages and then run back to the boss and seize. And you want Julian to get the chests a lot of the time. And usually where there are chests and side objectives such as doors to open, whatever, Julian, like there's always going to be a slot open for him in those maps. Yes, you are correct in that, but I don't think I know enough about Norn to fully put her. I was literally just going to put her like this. But I was like, I've never used her past like 3 chapters. So, you know. It's like Gordon, but super worse, but has the potential to be a Pegasus, I guess. Maybe like a funny like Myrmidon. Whatever. I wonder if Gordon work as a Myrmidon. That'd be really funny. Anyway, I think Julian's worth fielding a lot of the time. I'm gonna put him in C. Lena. This may be Iron Man based. Warp is still ridiculous. In fact, it's probably more ridiculous, maybe not than an LTC, but skipping a chapter that's scary and you can't really deal with means you're not dying to it. And it's like really good. And Lena's really fucking good. That's all I have to say. Navarre. Ooh, that's not Navarre. Bro thinks he's Navarre. Where the fuck is... Bro. Go back in your spot. Hi, Irony. Lena's bases are also kind of insane. Yes, I have seen her. Like, Levin Swordmaster Lena is hilarious and pretty viable. She's just blazing fast for some reason. She's really funny. She's just good. She's S tier alone based off Warp. But she has so much else to her name. You can do so much dumb shit with Lena. And she's just good at it, right? She's crazy. Yeah. She won rounds with the Forged. Generally with like Forged, you can just like forge an Iron Lance, and in early chapters she deals damage. And then like later on she won rounds, and then she won rounds, and then she won rounds and won rounds and won rounds. Forges very much fix her like strength issues for the most part, especially with things like effective weaponry. When she gets there, of course. Her speed base is crazy, yeah. And her defense is actually, like, good enough, which is kind of weird. Like, you wouldn't expect it. Navarre. I like to equate Navarre to another potential Cavalier. Kind of like Kane, but, like, he wasn't meant to be a Cavalier. It's like Navarre is just... He's like Kane. He has the same... If you reclass him to a Cavalier, he has the same stuff as Kane. Kane is faster than him, if you do that. They have the same sword rank. Kane is also stronger. Generally, Navarre is still serviceable. However, if you put both in Myrmidon, Kane is also better at that, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe not statistically, I haven't actually like checked it out right now, and I'm purposefully not using like August bot. Kane has lower sword rank. Yes, but I'm also doing this with the context that you are using the full content patch, just because that's how I recommend playing it if you're doing an Iron Man. And if you do that, Kane pretty solidly has sea swords by the point you get Navarre, because there's a lot of prologue chapters for him to do that, and a lot of axe users for him to do that against. The full content patch, it makes it so you get it removes the guidance requirements, and it gets you get the prologue like chapters, and you get Frey and Norn always. And it also adds in some items that were locked to like the online shop that is now defunct, and puts them in like secret shops, like an Elysian whip and a poleaxe and stuff. That's pretty much it. Yeah. But Navarre's not bad. Despite being worse than Kane, he's still good. You know, he's like an okay unit, you know? He's pretty average. If you use him, it's weird. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I really like doing that because I just don't like mass murdering my whole army on purpose. I like to do that on accident instead. And I also want to use the Gaiden characters. Yeah, Navarre is like it's like if you want a sword cav and Kane dies, which I guess if you want a sword cav, why just use like Ogma? He's not a cav, but he's better. But still, it's like he's good. He's pretty good. He has stats to compete with enemies. And he's decent. And in the long run, he turns out just fine. Just like most of these units up here. Yeah. Merrick. This is probably Merrick's worst game. I love playing Merrick in other games, especially. Because Merrick is crazy in FE1 and FE3, and no one talks about it. I'm the biggest shooter for early FE Merrick. FE12, I haven't played as much as I probably should have, honestly. But it's to my understanding that he's good in that game too. I'm not that knowledgeable about Merrick in this game. Every time I've tried to use him, I've gotten the fucker killed. The poor bastard. Oh shit. My bad. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. It was my understanding that, like, because this is how it works in FE3 too. He comes back with, like, Arlen and, like, Ellyrian. I don't remember which one's the correct pronunciation. And in FE3, you can rush him to promotion really early. And because of how weapon level works in FE3, he just can use every single goddamn staff in the game and also one-shot, like, everything with Excalibur, which is, like, actually, I think, a PRF in that game. If not, there's no other good users of it because Wendell doesn't join for a while, and there's no Boa. He's just kind of really good in that game, and I would assume he works like that too, but that's not how weapon level works in FE12. Yeah, that makes sense, honestly. And in this game, I similarly just don't know that much about him. They kind of fucked him up by making Excalibur not a PRF. Then again, he does use it easier than most mages, but pretty much the only mages he's outclassing is if you're reclassing like Cord, Abel, or some other weird-ass unit into or not an archer, a mage. I think C tier, where he is right here, is a pretty solid thing for him. The thing is, Excalibur is also just free to use for the pre-promotes, who use it unequivocally better than he does. But he's still really good, in general, from my... Yeah, it's like... He's not really good, but he's like above average or just kind of average in general. You like someone who hits on res sometimes, and that's kind of nice. Mathis, ooh. So I'm gonna talk about. Let's talk about my. This is the one I've been talking about with all my. If you weren't here earlier, I did a whole rant about Barst, Caster, and Drog as horsemen, because I did an all horse run of Shadow Dragon before I started YouTube, and I used those 3 as horsemen, and I also used every single Cavalier in the game, and also Navarre as a Cavalier, and Paladin, and that was like the whole run I did, just because I wanted to see how like how well each of them performed. Mathis at base is the worst Cav. Trained, he is... well, he's better than Jagan. I'll put it that way. He gets better by, like, the time Jagan falls off. He's better than Jagan. Sorry to say. Mathis is better than Jagan. Circa, like... it's like... whatever the chapter you get Tiki in is, like, where he surpassed it. And it was just, like, Jagan isn't doubling and Mathis is and stuff. He's dog shit. He was worse than Violent. He was worse than Roche. He was worse than Cain Abel. He was notably only a little bit worse than Frey, but that's because my Frey was... He was a little bit better than Frey, but my Frey was also pretty stat screwed. He's just bad. This is a Cav propaganda stream. But this motherfucker is ass. Cav propaganda wins out though. I'm putting wrist down here. Just because Cav propaganda, but he is the worst Cav. There's no Cav that's worse than him, and as far as I'm aware, there's no build that really fixes him. Yeah, he only has +2 base HP. It's bad. Anyway, Harden. Now we're getting into the Wolfguard, my beloved. Get ready for some hardcore propaganda. I'm just going to be spitting this shit out. Harden's cracked. He's so good. He's crazy. Do I dare? I dare. I dare. I'm literally Roche. You bet I'm putting Harden in A tier. This dude is really good. Yes, Wolf and Sedgar, by the way, full disclosure. I'm not sure which is better. I'd say Sedgar might be better. Just for general shenanigans. In an Iron Man. They're ridiculous. I'll talk about them later. They do kind of take an L for that. Wolfguard does sound a lot cooler than Coyote's Men, but Coyote's Men isn't terrible. Whatever. I'll take it. I wish it was Wolfguard still, but I will call them both interchangeably. Because I love them so much, I don't care. Harden, it's like all the other Cavaliers have, like, pros and cons, and then Harden has, like, all the pros, and his only con is having worse availability. Which is a pretty bad con, to be fair. It's like... How do I say this? He has good strength. He has good speed. He has good defense. He has good weapon ranks. His lance rank could be better from my... I believe he joins with C swords, D lances? But I might be wrong about that. Could be better. Could definitely be better. Still good. Oh, OBS died. Oopsie. Stream is back. He has B lances, D swords. Oh my god, that's really good. Shit. But he uses him and he doesn't fall off ever. He doesn't. In that way, it's like Ogma if he joined later and on a horse. And with B lances. He's crazy. He's really good. He's really good. In fact, fuck you. Mother, low crit looking ass, low percent crit looking ass. Get out of my Iron Man tier list. You know what? That's fucking right. Nah, I can't even. Yeah. 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 You know what? Yeah. I'll do that too. Cavaliers rule the day, and Jagan is still a Cavalier, so très bien, but worse than the other ones, based off of perfectly personal reasons. Rocher. Oh wait, shit, I gotta talk about Wolf and Sedgar. If you are unfamiliar with these units, they are hilarious. They're pre-promotes with good growths, really, really good growths. There are a lot of ways you can use all of them. And you can use them all a different way per chapter. Air Tempest already touched on Magic Sedgar, which I've actually used like only for like one chapter because he has good stuff and he has like, I believe he has D staves just like at base if you change him to what is it, a sorcerer? Can he be a bishop? Yeah, he can. No, he can't. No, he can't. No, he can't. He's not that class set. Dumbass. But, which isn't warp, but he gets there pretty quickly. It's E. Oh, oops. Never mind. Oh, no, it is E. It definitely is E. But he still has magic for some reason. He has, like, a magic stand. It's like, okay. But that's kind of, it's kind of that's like not the best way to use him. The best way to use him is to make him a general, to level up, and he gets, oh, it's that Wolf has a negative magic base. Oh, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. I have seen people use him just by basis of being a pre-promote, making him like magical sorcerer man, because they like want more magic and they just aren't putting Merrick off the bench or fielding someone else or whatever, haven't trained someone else, maybe Wendell died. General, he levels up like 2 HP every single level up, and then like 1 or 2 in every other stat. He has good bow rank, hilariously, at base, which means he can use that as a general, which is really weird, because this is like the only game where, aside from the games where generals can use like every weapon, that generals can use bows. Oh yeah, that's also true. He is also very bulky as a warper, so if you do make him a warper as a sorcerer, he won't die. It's magic. I haven't personally tried out Magic Sedgar. I'm gonna be honest. I always do general. I've done horseman of both of these, just flat horseman in the same run with these, of course. General is so good for both of them. For both of them, a lot of people praise Sedgar, and Sedgar is definitely better at general. He doesn't have any innate base bow rank, but the horseman class does. And he actually gets D rank bows when he transfers. Am I shitting with that? I distinctly remember him getting like D bows when he transfers to. I might be fucking myself. I might be fucking my brain up. General is E rank bows. Damn. Never mind. I mean, I said in the beginning of this video, I'm completely going off of memory for a lot of this stuff, so I'm definitely going to be wrong, but I'm not here for, like, stuff. Yeah, I probably did. It was not that... It was, like, kind of long ago. It was not that... It was, like, what was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, so I've also got shit memory. Basically, if you're looking for actual, non-biased commentary for that and actual facts, first of all, fact-checked me, because I'm spitting lies and propaganda, but he's okay. He's pretty damn good. He deserves to be an S tier. You can either, once he gets a few levels with General, you can pretty safely transfer him out. My bad. Someone walked into my room. I do not live alone. So, we're getting to Draco Pope. We're getting there. We're right now on Wolf and Sedgar. Once you get him general levels, he can also be, or even without that, he can be a great hero as well. Berserker if you want water walking. Warrior, why not? He's good at everything. He's generally not as good at Horseman, which is his base class, which is kind of sucks because he kind of needs to transfer classes to get his crazy growths. Same with Wolf. But they also performed very well long-term as Horsemen, actually. Which is very funny. Very funny that that works like that. They perform about as well as a trained Drog or Barst as Horsemen, which I found firsthand. But whatever. It's like they're crazy. They're like the bulkiest people in the game by a decent margin. Yes, that is I'm pretty sure that's true. In FE1, Wolf has like double Sedgar's growths, which is very strange. Actually, no. I think it's... He has, like, double his, like, strength, but Sedgar has, like, better growths in that game. In FE1. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. I really don't. I think that's FE3. Yeah, that's FE3. Because in FE1, Sedgar has more growths than Wolf. But FE3, I believe that's true. FE3 Book 1. Obviously, because they're not playable in Book 2. Both of these guys are crazy. Next up. Okay. Propaganda time. Rocher. Time to tell you the ins and outs of every possible Rocher build. Cavalier, Paladin, whatever. Crazy good. He's got actually pretty great bases. They kind of took away his base weapon rank, which he had really good weapon rank in FE1 and FE3. Unfortunately, isn't as good with just the change in the way weapon rank works, but it's still pretty good because he has D-lances, right? That's like okay. That's javelins, and that's pretty close to C-lances. Here's the thing. He has bad speed. He has a 10% speed growth as a Cavalier. However, he has a decent growth of 6 or 7, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's 6, which stops him from getting doubled for a hot minute on lower difficulties. And during this time, he has a good strength base, and that combined with his good lance rank means he can chuck pretty hefty javelins for a while, at least. And he's also got good defense, so as long as he's not getting doubled, he'll take a few hits. A lot more than plenty other people will by this time in the game. Long term, he struggles obviously with speed. That's interesting. It is FE1 where those are like that. I thought... What are they like in FE3? I think they're the same. Not the same as each other, the same as their FE1 counterparts. That's interesting. That's really interesting. How did those growths translate into the FE11 growths for Sedgar and Wolf? That's quite weird. Anyway, Roche. But he's got bad speed. Speed wings fix him on lower difficulties. On upper difficulties, he needs to be on constant speed wings life support, and he still won't double some people. But on anything but like hard, I think it's like 4, he can coast off of just speed wings, just giving him like a bunch of speed wings, which is a pretty big ask. Let's be real. A lot of people would love speed wings, and he needs him, but he makes great use of them. Trust me. I know. Also, you can just be like me and get super lucky with his speed growth all the time for some reason. I have had so many blessed Roches. I had him in my most recent Ironman, which is on the channel. You're getting ahead of yourself, Air Tempest. If you make him a Paladin, he will have speed issues, but he'll be good. If you make him Draco Knight, same thing, but once he promotes, he will have less speed issues. Yeah, he's just a little bit better as a Draco Knight. The problem is really getting to promotion in that case. Archer Roche is the best for a long-term Roche. It fixes his speed, and when I say fixes, it makes it 30. Which is a lot better than 10. Which is doable by growths. You can get screwed, you can, but that's pretty big for Shadow Dragon. That's decent. That's pretty doable, and if I can do it, my most recent Ironman on the channel, I did Draco Knight, Roche, and I got blessed about 3 points off of just a 10% growth. Before that, I did Archer. There was never a point where he was not doubling. Are these unit viability tanks or base discussions? They are base discussions. They are very subjective, and I am discussing Roche right now. Fair warning, I don't have any resources up with me. I'm just going off of memory and personal experience, so I might just say shit and it's wrong. Air Tempest has already called me out on a lot of these things. I'm just riffing right now. I'm gonna be real. Don't take what I'm saying super seriously. Roche as an archer, it fixes his stats. It really does. You can still get screwed. You can still get stat screwed pretty easily. It hampers his strength a decent amount, and it also means he has to start from E bows, which is kind of pretty detrimental at this stage in the game, as you're like, oh man, I gotta start with E bows. You know, it takes him a while to get up there with the weapon rings. But he kills shit. He kills shit a lot. Late game, I killed Medius with Roche as a sniper. It wasn't even hard. I just hit him, and then I hit him the next phase, and Medius was dead. Simple as. It wasn't even close. He's very good. Granted, snipers aren't the best class. Yeah, they're not great. But if you're a true believer like I am, it's great. Another fun thing you can do with Roche is make him a mage. Not that he has great magic. Here's my recommendation. Make him a mage. Forge a +10 might fire tome. He has the archer speed now, slightly worse. With okay things. It's worse. It's just worse archer. Very funny. Very funny. Wow, they really buffed their personal growth. Jesus Christ. Why did they even do that? I thought that was like, it was like a fuck up with like how personal growth versus like class growths worked with the advent of DS emblem versus NES emblem. Like Drog. But damn, they really just buffed their personal growths. Anyway, Rocher. Mage Rocher is very funny. Not good. It's just worse than Archer. Very funny. That's true, but also they didn't promote an FE1. But how do I say this? It's well, also the EXP formula, I guess. That's probably the main reason they changed it. Rocher, Mage. It's funny. Try it. Just do it. Go ahead, do it right now on like hard 1, 2 at most. It's not great, but it's very fun. Another thing you can do is Myrmidon Rocher. Also, pretty shaky speed growth. It's slightly worse than Archer. It's like 25, I believe, off the top of my head. But strength isn't bad. And Myrmidon is kind of just like it's different. It's different. It's fun. Another fun Rocher build. In general, Archer best, then Draco Knight, then Paladin. But all of these are decent. The 10% speed growth isn't as bad as you would think. In lower difficulties. In higher difficulties, it's a death sentence, because he will never double and probably won't ever not get doubled unless you get very lucky with Archer growths. And get him, like, blessed and give him a speed wing. But he's crazy. He's really good, actually, I think. Hot take. I want to hear it. Please. If you can just put him in here, we can skip around, honestly. But first, I'm gonna talk about Violent. I love Violent. He's my boy. I'm a Vibro. Of course, I am. Long term, with my all horses run, he wound up. It's for Rad and Caesar. I have a hot take for Caesar as well. I want to hear yours though. But Violent. We'll do those two after Violent. Violent becomes very good long term. Not very good, but he became better than Frey, which was a screwed Frey. About comparable, actually, to Kayn, which is weird. Like, at the end of the game, I'm saying, they had about the same stats. The road getting there was pretty long for Violent, though. But I'd say Violent was okay, honestly. And he's... I don't know what to say other than he's pretty solidly between Rocher and Mathis in terms of Cavaliers in this game. It's like... He just has worse stats, but better stats than Mathis. That's kind of all there is to it. And this is the spot where Violent belongs. Caesar. Tell me, Air Tempest. While you're typing, I'm gonna go on my experience with him. I did this the most recent Iron Man. It was my first series on the channel, Shadow Dragon Ironman. Trained Caesar as a hunter and then promoted him into general. I was tipped off to the strategy from a follow 8. It was harebrained as all hell. Wow. It is so rad better than Caesar. You do have a I'm excited here. I don't know like anything about Rad. I've never used him. So I'm really excited to hear this justification. I think Caesar's decent. I think Caesar's pretty good. That hunter general build really worked. He was doubling things with good defense, and he was a doubling general. That's pretty much all there is to it. And he had bow rank, which was hilarious. But it took a while for that to get going. But I think beyond that, he has enough to work. That's the only time I've ever used Caesar, even though I've been very interested in using him. He really piques my interest. Yeah. Alright, let's hear it, Air Tempest. Rad with almost no investment can become viable, whereas Caesar has to be invested into. Even in a draft Iron Man I did, Rad was useful because he could become a warper unpromoted. That is true. Since he has Ace class set, not B class set, he can become a curate. So he just needs 15 heals so that he can use barrier to hit C rank, whereas Caesar needs a lot of investment. Rad's not that great. Oh, that's Sad Fox typing that. Rad's not that great, but I arena abused him, and after promoting him, he was better than Navarre. He does get great after lots of training. That is true. I could see that. And that's especially good in an Iron Man, right? Having an extra warper. Yeah, he is pretty self-sufficient in becoming a warper. In an Iron Man, you might get Lena killed. You might get Wendell killed. You might get Maria killed. You might get Boa killed. You need extra warpers. And you want a lot of warpers in this game. You want like 4 in endgame, I'd say. And you get 4 on your own, but this is an Iron Man. You might, and honestly probably will, lose someone. Well, not honestly probably will. I'm not doubting your abilities, dear viewer. I'm doubting my abilities, I'm gonna be honest. I get people killed a lot. It's as simple as. Having a backup warper is great. There are several people who can do this, though. Gordon can do this. Violent and Mathis can do this. Risk can do this. You know what? Nah. It's funny. This doesn't even really matter. They're all pretty dog shit. It's like, I'm still gonna put Caesar above. They're both decent units. These people are all like, these are meme pics. Rad also does hook up with Caesar's sister, which is fucking hilarious. But it's like, I think Caesar has potential. I haven't used him as like a hero or anything. On paper, it's not bad, but I think he seems okay, honestly. Yeah, it's like, I have personal experience with using Caesar, and I was given a harebrained strategy which took forever to pull off. But when I finally got it, which was like Etzel Paralog, I think, when I finally got that payoff for it. Not Paralog, Gaiden. Which is pretty late into the game. For a lot of investment. But a doubling general is a doubling general. He had crazy stats. That's all I could say. He was doubling, he had crazy amounts of defense, and he had crazy amounts of attack. He was running around doing everything. With like iron weapons. But it took forever to get him there, and it was a whack experience. I could see you putting him... This is... Okay. I'd say all of these people are like... They're meme units. You can make them work, technically. I mean, you can also make these people work, really. Riss, honestly. I don't fucking know what to do with these. These units don't matter. They really don't. I'm going to put Mathis at the front because Cav Supremacy, look at that. Hell yeah. Even though it's not real, you know, it's like, Tomas, I also have a pretty hot take for. What is your hot take for Tomas? We'll go to Tomas. Wait, maybe Est too? We'll do Est next. I think Tomas is a decent Cavalier. He can early promote once you get him. Rush him to promotion. He's okay. You can also do that for some other classes, but it's not like FE1 where he becomes a really good sniper if you do that. Yes, he's 2 levels for promotion. That's his main thing. He, like, you get him 2 levels, early promote him, and he's like a filler combat unit at worst. Yeah, that's pretty much the Tomas experience, what you're describing here. I'd say that. Or should it... It's like... Yeah, he also does get to go Draco. And he's notably okay as a Draco. Yeah, George is probably more useful just because he immediately gets that and better availability, but that's no fun. Tomas, good. Tomas, decent. Tomas, okay. We love Tomas in this household. It's like, yeah, they are pretty tragic. Generally, a lot of people don't care about bases if you're going Draco Knight. That's why they use Jagan the whole time. Have you seen his bases? They're not good. They may be the best that you have for the time he joins, but that's... it's like... He's good. He really is. All of these people are good. Like, obviously, in higher difficulties or in effective play, you're never going to see these units get the light of day. But they're good. Honestly considering doing this. That looks fine to me. This is going to be all sorts of fucked up as I keep shuffling units around, but I think if you go into this saying, I'm going to use this unit, you can do that for everyone up to, like, here, right? Even Mathis, you can use Mathis. You can use Cord. You can use Riss. It's just like, at this point, you are using them because they're bad. Arguably same for Daros, but I'd say General Daros is just good enough to meet that threshold of being D tier. It's like, these units are good. These units are okay. Which is weird. Normally when you see Shadow Dragon tier list, you're like, these units are bad. Because let's be real, if you're assuming units, like, base against other units, almost all of these units suck. Because they're based to be replacements, really. But it's great. Wendell, shit. Oh, we said we'll do Est next. Est. What's your hot take on Est? Because I don't really have a take on Est, to be perfectly honest with you. I've used her. Triangle attack gives you more reliability and can use Rider's Bane at base. I can see it. Yep. I will grant you this. I will grant you this. Sorry, Gordon. I've also done this with Est. I've done Rider's Bane stuff with Est. I have not done Triangle attack. I honestly forget that Triangle attack exists a lot of the time, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's good. Like, that's nothing to scoff at. And base Rider's Bane is decent. Like, she works if you do that. Generally, at this point, you probably have... okay, so if you get to this point, there's 2 ways that your army is. You are either on top of the Iron Man, in which case you don't need Est, like, at all. Or you are drowning. You are clawing for air. In which case, Est is like a godsend. Getting that horse, that rider's bane is like, oh, thank God. That's about it, you know? Yeah, you're struggle busing. It's like, she's not great. Like, that's what a lot of these units are. Like, if you're struggle busing, Tomas comes in handy. If you're struggle busing, some of these units, mostly the ones because we started from joining things, they're like tough, you know. Like if you're in dire straits, these units will probably help, and that's the joy of Iron Man. Really, is when you're struggle busing, you get to have Est come off and do stuff, which is great. Anyway, Wendell. Have you seen Wendell's speed stat? Look up Wendell's speed stat right now. Just do it. He's a Draco Knight. It's the Draco Pope, the Dragon Pope. You know him. You love him. He's also blazing fast. He also uses Excalibur. Yeah, 8 base. That's good enough. That's really good. That's more than most of these people. Definitely more than Jagan. It's more than Rocher. It's more than... I'm not sure exactly who all it's most than. I'm not going to start listing names, but it's most than a decent amount. You know, I'm not going to get called out again for lying, because I probably will lie if I do this. Also decent availability. Yeah. And also, need I forget, warp at base. Make him a bishop. He's a warper. Well, he's not immediately a warper. He's like 4 warps away from being a warp, or 4 heals away from being a warper. That's probably not true, but he's pretty damn close. And while he's there, he has good combat as a mage. He uses Excalibur, and he crit one-shots a lot of things. Which you can't rely on crits, but they happen. They really do. And he doubles a lot of things. He's just good. That's all I gotta say. He's crazy. Kind of like Lena, actually, except he can be a warper and a combat unit at the same time. Record. Julian, but I'm moving him in 1 space down as punishment for being worse than Julian. I love Julian. He's cool. Athena. George's total personal bases are 2 higher. That is so tragic. Ooh, yikes. Then again, he also can be a Draco, so, yeah. Athena. I think Athena has, okay. Athena is, yeah, he does have bow rank, and like good bow rank, you know. A lot of the times, most of your other units probably won't have bow rank, so he has the personal usage of like silver bows, which you'll probably find in a chest somewhere. Yeah, Athena's really only good in Myrmidon. You really wish she could be like a Pegasus, but she kind of just doesn't function as one. She just loses too much strength. Athena has kind of the bonus of Tomas, of being very easy to promote, at least from memory. I don't remember what her bonus... What is her base level? Let me fact check myself on this. Yes, and also she has great sword rank, and you have silver sword by this point, which Harden can't use Lamau. Her base level is 10. Yeah, she just instant promotes, in which case she becomes great. Problem is, she has a bad class set. Sea Sword, yeah, that's still, it's not Silver Swords, it's Killing Edges, that's very important. It's Armor Slayers, very important. Very close to Silver Swords, which at this point, you'll only have with Kain, Harden, Navarre if they're trained. Marth probably if he's trained. Ogma. Yeah. Getting the Elysian Whip. That is something with the full content patches. You get the Elysian Whip in a secret shop but it's like really late. That's the thing. Is the secret shop is pretty late. So that kind of sucks. But it's like, I could honestly see this. I think I might go with that. Athena's pretty good. She's just a good filler combat unit. Or you can use her long term. She's good. She joins actually relatively early, actually. You thought you just download it? You do, but it's like kind of defunct now. But the full content patch adds it into a secret shop. And actually, wait. The full content patch adds it as a drop, doesn't it? In like the Jake chapter. It does. Because it does that so that you don't have to waste the first Master Seal on Sheeta. If you want to recruit Jake without getting her in ballista range. Which I don't super like, to be perfectly clear with you. But it's something. Yeah. I might move her up like this. Yeah. Yeah, sure. And while we're at it, I think just being a Draco is good enough for that. Bantu. I'm sorry, man. Bantu never catches a break. It's FE1. That's the only one where he's good. I don't know if there's anything you can do with Bantu in this game. I'm gonna be real. The main thing is you have to keep him alive if you want Tiki. That's about it. That's all there is to it. Roger. Not many people know this, but Roger can also do a Drog thing where he gets, like, Hunter, and he gets, like, but it's, like, worse than Drog, and he comes a lot later. It's, like, he is kind of nice when he joins, like, a chapter or two. But that's it. That's all he does. He doesn't grow. He doesn't have lasting bases. The Firestone's okay. He is good at setting up kills, which is great if you're training somebody unoptimal, like if you're doing, like, that Caesar strat that I fucked with. It's weird. Bantu's a weird guy. I love him, though. I actually have a plus 10 Bantu in Heroes. Not sure why. Roger. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah, he's better than FE12 Bantu. For sure. He's not good. Even in, like, FE3, he does actually a little bit more chip, I think. Well, you know how good my memory is by now. It's probably about the same. But, like, he fulfills a similar role. But it's, like, more appreciated in that game. Because generally your unit's power level is a little bit less. It's like, this isn't the worst Bantu, but he's still not good. Yeah, Roger. Oh, the best death base in the game. I'll spoil with this, actually. These you could say are pretty interchangeable. Maria's crazy. Maria's crazy. Best defense base. Warp at base. Draco Knight. It's hilarious. That's it. That's it. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. Roger. He's just not very good. D plus 10 staves. Oh. Never mind. I've been playing way too much old Arcanea games recently. Really. I'm so locked in, like, weapon level with that system for some reason. Whack. Still, really good. That's pretty damn close. Yeah, and Goto. Boa, Lina, and Goto. Wendell and Maria are definitely close enough, though. Especially because you have... That's barrier. That's basically there. Like, that's basically warp. And it's worth it. Yeah, Etzel's also kind of close. It's... She's crazy. She's crazy. Roger's bad. I'm gonna be real with you. He's pretty bad. I don't know about... oh yeah, also Ellis. Not Ellis. Roger. I don't know what to do with Roger. I don't. I really don't. You know what? Yeah. There you go, Bantu. I don't know what to do with him. He's funny. He's actually pretty good in 0% or in reverse recruitment, not 0% growth, because he becomes George and he like becomes like level 11, which is very funny. And he's like a good pre-promote in that game. In that game, as in this game, but reverse recruitment. Oh, no, he is Wendell. You're right. Not George. Who's George? Roche's George, I think. No, Violent is George. Violent is George. Yeah, he's Wendell. It's... I don't know what to do with him. I don't know if you can make him good. He is super blah. That's a good way to put it. Minerva. I think Minerva's pretty good. Yeah, Violent is also good. In reverse recruitment. Minerva. I think Minerva's really good. I think Draco Knights are good. She's the only Draco Knight at base, but like everyone else can also probably pretty much be a Draco Knight at base. You just need not for their joining chapter, really. But you give her a speed wing and she's good. You know, if you don't give that speed wing to a good unit like Roche. She has good axes. She doesn't have the best axes. You wish you had a little more axe rank. She has Hoot Claire, which is cool. She has like hammers, hand axes, etc. And she can also use lances if you get her lance rank up, which you can really just use axes and you're fine, but that's also funny, I guess. Wait, she has A rank axes. Jesus, I am fucking up all my weapon ranks specifically today. Oh yeah, because she has Hoot Claire. I'm losing my shit. Hoot Claire. Hoot Claire. Hoot Claire. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking it was like a Excalibur type thing, where it's like she gets a... I'm losing my shit. She's good. That's about it. She's a Draco Knight with A rank axes at base. There are people yelling. Linda! Yeah, she's a mage. She dies to a strong breeze. She's not bad. I mean, she has like aura, I guess. She's like pretty much the only one who can use that. It's like, yeah, she hits pretty hard, but if she ever gets hit back, she dies, which this is Iron Man based, you know. She's cool though. I think she's decent. Yeah, like you're never gonna get anyone else using aura really, unless you're doing like Mage Sheeta, which I've seen someone do, which is, I don't advise it, unless you're memeing around. It's like, you just use her with aura to hit things hard until you probably get her killed. Once you make a single mistake with her and she gets hit once, But whatever. Jake. Oh, yeah, Jake. Where's Beck, too? Beck, slightly above. Mage Sheeta for the Alm Staff. Let's go. Ellis doesn't exist. Ellis isn't real. You get Ellis killed in, like, the chapter, or, like, the half a chapter before you get Alm Staff, and she joins somehow. You know, that for that contingency, you get the Mage Sheeta. Fantastic. Battle Stations are good. Beck is slightly above, because even though slightly worse availability, better skill, better hit, better... he does have better skill, right? I'm second guessing everything now, because I've been wrong so many times today. Whatever, it doesn't matter. These two are like the same unit, pretty much. Like, they're the same class. You do the same thing. And it's the battle station thing, and that's good. And it's especially good in an Iron Man, where you can patch up mistakes by killing someone that Jagan missed, probably, and is posing a threat now with a ballistician. Or you can shoot down an archer who might threaten a squishy in the back. I feel like I remember yeah, it doesn't matter. Put whoever you like more in front. They're both crazy, and yeah, I'd say they're better in an Iron Man specifically as well, just because cover up mistakes. Obviously, they aren't the best, most accurate by design, but like still, it works. And they're crazy. Medea. Medea's kind of underrated. No, she's kind of dog shit. I'm gonna keep it with you. She kind of sucks ass. But she's a person who can be a Draco Knight, and therefore is about equal to George. Actually, a little worse, because George has bow rank. Yes, also they can just hard cheese Medius. Like, they are also a win condition, which is something you definitely... I think you need to cheese Medius, really, because it's... Like, in an Iron Man, you really want to lock down ways, your, like, win conditions to cheese Medius, because there are no guarantees that that whatever you do, if you try to do it normally, that Marth won't just get randomly killed along the way in an Iron Man. So it's really important to secure those kind of win conditions, like the Tiki Alm and the Light Sphere Ballistician. Medea, bad stats, Draco Knight, D tier, top of D tier. Next, Dolph Macellan. I don't know, but I don't think they're good. Boa, Warper at base. Bottom text. Horus. Oh shit, Horus. This is a good unit. Joins like square in the middle of the game. Here's the difference between Medea and Jagan in base. Plus 2 HP, plus 1 skill, plus 1 speed, plus 6 luck. That's good. I take those. Yeah. She doesn't get crit. Well, she probably still does, but Jagan immediately gets crit, probably, if you're unlucky. Yeah. I take that. We take those. She joins 11 maps later. That kind of sucks. In fact, you know what? Bozo, get out of here. Out. I'm establishing this as an Iron Man-based tier list. Right now. See this? This is where your optimal units lie, in the depths of the casual hell. Dolph is better than Macellan? Good to know. I know he's definitely better. I think Dolph is the one who can use Parthia in FE12. But that doesn't matter here. Astrum. Hot take about Astrum. He is better than people say. He still has pretty bad stats, but he has A-rank swords at base. Oh, that's Macellan. Oopsie. And A-ring swords, that's pretty nice. You get to just swing around a silver sword for free, I guess. And he kind of sucks at using it, but if you don't have any other silver sword users, why not? He's an okay filler combat unit. Yeah, he has decent speed, sword rank, forges, is promoted, I guess. You could, you could maybe, I just thought of this. You could probably make him a horseman and then give him like a forged sword and then just run around on a, you would have to forge it more because he'd lose strength. But why not? That'd be funny. Yeah. Put him below Medea. A lot of people say he sucks, and he's bad, and yeah, he do kind of sucks. Also, he's a part of an LTC strat, because you recruit him with Medea, and then crit Levin's sword to weaken, I think, the boss, not even kill, which is hilarious. Pella! Here's where I go with Pella and Katria. That's true. Forge crit on the Levin sword. Crazy. Palla, Katria. This ain't no FE12. They're not that broken. I say they're still decent units. If you train them, you will have, like, you will have a good time, you know? Would not have the speed to double in Horseman. Wait, really? Horseman's speed base is lower than Hero? I thought it had the highest speed base of that thing. I'm pretty sure it had the highest speed base of that class set. Because that's what Roche has. It's the highest. Horseman is his highest speed base. It has the highest cap. Huh. Yeah, also Palla is noticeably better. But generally, it's kind of weird to train a unit in like the middle of the game. But if you're hurting, again, if you're on the struggle bus, they are good. Also, they're decent in the mage map, where they have some semblance of res, but mostly just fly around well. Damn, what is up with my brain? Aaron and Samson. Samson has better combat. Aaron has a horse and a better class. Both join really late. Why not? No. Sure. Zane. I don't know what Zane does in this game. I really don't. I've seen people say that he's like really good. I've seen people say he's perfectly mid tier. I've seen people say he sucks. I don't know. I've never like used him that much. Yes, Aaron also does have A ranks, or a lance rank, which is very nice. I might shorten this game, but the thing is, for the time they join, Aaron's stats aren't great. They just really are not good. They don't hold up as much as other units do. And I know this from my thing. My, like, Paladin, all Paladins run. He just, like, he doesn't keep up with arena enemies, which, to be fair, most pre-promotes don't in this game. Samson actually has decent stats, though, or combat. He also does barely anything, but for filler combat, he's okay. He also does have really low skill, which is really funny. They're okay. These are also like struggle bus units. Like, if you need an extra slot, put in Samson or Aaron. I honestly might say, you know what? No, Cav Propaganda. I did know that one, that he did have lower skill than Jagan. It's quite funny. Etzel. I don't really know where to put Etzel. I might put him here. He's got fucking D staves, that's the word. Oh man, I'm getting tired. He's got D staves. That's it. Yeah, and he also has kind of cracked bases. And Sorcerer's actually not that bad of a class, really. Which you don't know because the only ones are Etzel and Cord, of course. That's about it. That's about all there is to Etzel. That honestly probably warrants... Horus might be better than this. Oh, oopsie. Forgot that did that. That might be more accurate. No, I gotta... No, I don't. No, I don't. Let's go. Yeah. We're gaming. We are overrating, baby. Tiki is a win condition. For that reason, honestly, comparable with Julian. There we go. Perfect. Lorenz. Poor guy, man. Poor guy. Emir. Emir's kind of cracked. Emir's kind of cracked. He really is. Oh my god. Tiki is a lifesaver. It's like... She's just good at base for a bit. Yeah. It's like... If your Iron Man is burning, she helps you a lot. If you are killing the Iron Man, she's a very reliable win condition. Yeah, and she uses the Star Sphere very well. I usually like giving the Star Sphere to, of course, Roche, with the Gradavis. But that's just me. Because of course I do. She's crazy. She's good. I say crazy pretty liberally, but she's good. Like, specifically for an Iron Man, nice. Good. Très bien. Emir. A-rank Axis, if I'm not mistaken. But you know my track record with guessing fucking Axe ranks, right? Joins quite late. Is pretty good. Yeah, just a tip forever, never forge the Falchion. Light Spear makes killing Medius way more reliable. Yeah, don't do it. He has B. Wow. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, he has 18 base speed in Hero. He's crazy. He's really good. Problem is he joins very late. That's about it. I don't know if this is the correct placement, but I've said my piece. And really, what the placement I'm doing here doesn't matter near as much as what I'm just saying, really. D axis B bows. B axis D bows. Yeah. Ellis, I'd say fall in lines with Tiki in just having, like, is a lifesaver in that she's a free warper when you get her, if you get to that point in the Iron Man. And if not, she is a win condition by being an Alm user. Yeah, that's it. I'd say warp twice, actually, maybe. Because warp to get the Alm, and then warp after you do a revive on turn 2. That's it. That's probably what you're doing with it. Nagi. Is there any major differences between Nagi and Tiki, other than Tiki being better chapter 22? Like, are there? Nagi can still do the Medius cheese, right? More hit on Medius. That is pretty important. Honestly, I'm gonna move these down here just because, like, yeah, she also doesn't have chapter 22. 3%. I mean, that matters, but like, not that much. There we go. These are our support units right here. For the most, I'm considering them support through their like win conditions. Obviously, Tiki's a little more than a win condition, but like, yeah, it doesn't have 100% hit. It's not completely reliable, but you know, it's something. Plus, if Tiki dies, having a backup for the end game is very nice. Yeah. Maybe their specific placement on the tier list is like maybe C tier isn't the great fit for them. It's like I said earlier, their placement on this graphic does not match, isn't as near as important as what I'm saying about the units. Because I'm just kind of throwing units down next to each other. But then again, I'm also saying bullshit. So really this whole thing is bullshit. And it was rigged from the start. Goto, Ellis, but worse. Yeah, so Warp Staff. Notably, also a Swarm user. I don't know if that's full content patch exclusive, but they gave him a Swarm. But that's very good. Also for competitive play. The PvP with Goto goes kind of dummy. Oh, he always has Swarm, which is kind of unique, and it's not bad. Yeah, that's really not bad. Like, we take those, really. So kind of sucks. These are our endgame squad and also thieves. In reality, they're probably scattered across here. Whatever. I'm done. I'm out. I'm tired. Time to post this on whatever and farm engagement. This is fun. This is real fun. Oh, I'm tired, but I love this game a lot, and I love so many units. There's so many bullshit strategies you can do with these people. Stuff like Myrmidon Roshank, Myrmidon Kane, Armor Knight Daros, fucking Dark Mage Cord, Hunter General Caesar. It's crazy. Yeah, this game is so good. Experiment with this game more, guys. That's all I have to say before my voice leaves my body. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my manic ramblings, and thank you for correcting me when I get a little bit too manic and I start propagandizing too much. And remember, Cav supremacy always. That's all I have to say. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye. To all those listening in, stay warm, and good night.